James! James, listen to me! I'd rather die than you think I...
Welcome to my channel Film Shortens. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I'm going to recap a 2021 action thriller film called No Time to Die. The movie starts with a flashback. A young Madeline Swan, Colini DeFord, takes care of her sick mother, Mathilde Bourbon, and a masked man, Rami Malek, approaches her home. Madeline sees the man by her window and runs to hide. The man enters the house, introduces himself to her mother as Leiter Safin, and says he is there for Mr. White because he killed Safin's family. When Madeline's mother can't answer him, Safin shoots her. Madeline is hiding under the bed where Safin goes to looking for her. She shoots him and drags his body outside, but it turns out he is alive. Madeline begins to run across the icy lake until it fails. Safin cannot bring himself to let the girl die, so he shoots the ice and pulls her out. Jump to the present where Madeline, now played by Lee Seydoux, where she lives romantically with James Bond, Daniel Craig, in Montero. They are happy together. Madeline knows Bond still has lingering thoughts about Vesper Lynd, whom she points out is buried close to them. She encourages to let her go, doing the same with her memory of Safin by writing Masked Man in French on a piece of paper and burning it. The next morning, Bond goes to Vesper's tomb to finally forgive her. He also has a part of the paper that is ready to burn. It says "Forgive me." Before leaving, Bond sees a Spectre calling card nearby, and seconds later, the tomb explodes. Bond recovers fast enough to run, but only an assassin led by a man named Primo, the Cyclops, Dolly Bensala, with the cybernetic eye will chase him. Bond rode his bike back to his room to catch Madeline, and the assassin didn't know where he found him, so he accused him of launching Madeline. He takes Madeline to Aston Martin and chases Montero at high speed. Their Bond tricks the assassin into damaging the van or being shot. The villain pushes Bond and Madeline into the center of the square, and she asks Bond to move while Bond sits there and shoots Goon at her car. Seeing Madeline tell the truth, he fired the machine gun in his car and killed almost every assassin except Primo. Once they are in the clear, Bond takes Madeline to a train station where he puts her on a train and parts ways with her due to his trust in her being destroyed. She tearfully tries to catch him as the train begins to depart, but he is long gone. 5 years later, another team of assassins broke into the MI6 lab. They work under Safin, who contacts the chief scientist Valdo Obruchev, David Densick, and warns of those who come. The assassin captures Obruchev and another scientist while killing other members of the team. They are there to get Heracles, a deadly biological weapon that can be used as a poison by touching the skin. After getting what they want, the assassin kills the other man and takes Obruchev away. MI6 learned that Moneypenny, Naomi Harris, would talk to Ralph Fenn about it, but he remains tight-lipped on what Heracles is and find out where 007 is. Bond is now retired from MI6 and lives in Jamaica. He meets Felix Leiter, Jeffrey Wright, and his colleague Logan Ash, Billy Magnuson. They go to a nightclub, where Felix tells Bond about Obruchev's capture and invasion of the lab. Bond had little interest in being involved in Obruchev's recovery, and he also told Felix that he was suspicious of Ash. When Bond tries to drive home, he finds his car isn't working. He approached from a woman named Lashana Lynch, who took him to her bike. When they get back to his place, she immediately drops the facade, revealing that she is not only an agent of MI6, but also a new 007. She tells him that Obruchev is her target and Bond to stay out of her way. And Bill Tanner, Rory Kinnear, talk to Q, Ben Whishaw, about recovering files stolen from the lab. Bond contacts Sam and asks what he did with Obruchev and Spectre. M hangs up and tells Tanner that he wants to contact Brofeld, Christoph Waltz, who is trapped in Belmarsh and is seen talking to himself. Felix is on a Bond trip to Cuba to meet a CIA agent named Paloma, Ana de Armas. They infiltrate a Spectre conference that uses the eyes of a robot like Brofeld uses to watch a party. Meanwhile, Obruchev was forced to install Heracles in the facility, but he can be seen changing vials from the device. When Bond and Paloma notice that Blofeld is doing something, the whole group focuses on Bond. Hercules' poison is released into space to kill Bond, but the poison does not affect the Spectre agent. Spectre's agents boil their faces before they die, but Bond and Paloma are unaffected. The two face off against gunmen, including Primo, while Nomi shows up to apprehend Obruchev. After killing a few henchmen, Paloma gets a car and sees Obruchev trying to escape. She rams the car into the structure, climbing down, causing him and it to collapse onto the car. Bond takes Obruchev and parts ways with Paloma after she gives him a cigar for Felix. Bond takes Obruchev to an old plane that is about to break. Bond took Obruchev to Felix's boat and met him and Ash. As they begin to cross-examine Obruchev about Hercules, and why it didn't particularly affect Bond, Ash gets nervous and tells Obruchev to stop talking. Obruchev also says that since Spectre has always been the main target, he modified the DNA sample to kill her instead of Bond during the poison, and helped create Hercules. When Bond asks how Blofeld knew he was there, he quickly realized that Ash was a double agent working with Obruchev. During the battle, Ash shoots Felix and escapes with Obruchev, where they blow a hole into the ship to cause it to sink. Bond tries to help Felix, but they know his gunshot wound is too bad, and Felix leaves himself to his destiny. Unfortunately, Bond abandons his friend before he is free and runs away. Bond returns to MI6 to confront M. He demands that he be put in Belmarsh to talk to Blofeld, but after Bond offends him, M refuses and eventually sends Bond out. M called the Flea and asked him to scan everything in Blofeld's cell, including himself. On the way back, Moneypenny offers to help Bond. That night, they go to Q's house while he prepares to have dinner with a friend. They ask him to see the recovered files, and when he does, they find the files on the Spectre target, of which only Blofeld remains. There are also thousands of other files related to DNA samples from around the world. Bond asks Q to take him to Belmarsh to meet Blofeld, but he says only one can access him. Cut into Madeline, who will work as a psychiatrist. She goes to her office to find Safin there, but she doesn't immediately recognize him until he presents her with his broken mask. As soon as she gets scared, he tells her he needs her for something. Bond later meets the entire MI6 team and returns as a OO agent. They are reviewing the funeral records of Spectre's agents. A family of 5 who came into contact with him died of being infected with the poison of Hercules. M then explains that Hercules shouldn't be as harmful as it is now, as it was only meant to be designed for specific targets through contact over those it doesn't affect, but targets and everyone involved. Equipped with nanobots for tracking, M finally agrees that Bond meets Blofeld to see what he can do. Bond goes to Belmarsh and meets Madeline again. He tries to shake her hand, but she refuses. When Blofeld is brought to them, Madeline is nervous and tries to leave. Bond grabs her wrist, but she pulls away. Bond continues to talk to Blofeld, who taunts him and says he set up attack at Vesper's tomb to deliberately make Bond believe that Madeline set him up. He curses Bond, grabs Blofeld and physically attacks him. When Tanner comes to stop Bond, they see Blofeld poisoned from Bond's contact. After touching Madeline, Bond learns that he has infected with Hercules and cannot understand it. Madeline escaped from the apartment and no one could find her. Bond goes after her on her own and finds her at her childhood home. To his surprise, he found out that she had her daughter Matilda, Lisa Doris on it, but Madeline claims she was not Bond's daughter. After Madeline puts Matilda to sleep, she tells Bond who Safin is. Blofeld instructed Madeline's father to kill the entire family of Safin, leaving him as the only survivor with injured traits. She also mentions that Safin's family was on the island where his base of activity is now. Bond provides Q information about the location of Safin, which informs MI6 that the island is between Japan and Russia. Nomi looks for Ash, But Bond finds out that he and other servants of Safin are nearby, so he takes Madeline and Matilda out of the house for safety. Along the way, a Safin assassin chases 3 people. Bond pulls the two off the road, but their van also goes off the road. Bond shoots the assassin and traps a few others until Ash tries to kill Bond himself. Bond flipped his van and crashed it. Ash crawls out and asks Bond for help. In retribution for Felix's death, Bond defeated Ash's van and smashed him. Then he learns that Madeline and Matilda have been kidnapped and taken to the island. Bond returns to MI6, and Nomi gives Bond the title of 007 and heads to the island to stop Safin and rescue Madeline and Matilda. Meanwhile, the villain takes them to his garden, where other toxic plants, including nanobots, harvested for the poison distribution of Hercules, are being developed. Bond and Nomi are taken to the island, where they invade the facility and chase after the shooters. They plan to capture Obruchev and blow up the house, but there isn't enough explosives to do the job. After continued threats, Nomi pushes Obruchev into a pool of nanobots, where he is gruesomely dissolved. Other workers escape as soon as they see the effects of nanobots. Madeline manages to escape Primo's prisoners by throwing hot tea on his face. Bond finds Safin with Mathilde and his prisoners. When Safin threatens both her and Madeline, Bond kneels down and asks Safin not to hurt him, but Bond pulls out a hidden pistol and kills Safin's guards, but he escapes through a hatch with Mathilde. But the girl bites Safin and he just gives her up. She hides until Madeline finds her. Bond meets them and helps them escape. Primo attacks Bond, but he uses Q's gadget watch to lift Primo's cybernetic eyes and explode them in his head, kill him. Bond then opens the hatch door to allow the Royal Navy to launch missiles and destroy the facility. He succeeds and goes his way until he realizes they are closing again for Safin. Bond is trying to open them again and is attacked by Safin. Safin shoots him and infects him with nanobots that specifically target Madeline and Matilda. Bond fights Safin and breaks his arm before shooting him. He managed to open the door again, but realized that she couldn't leave the island without hurting Madeline and Matilda. He contacts Q, who had Nomi answer Madeline on the phone. They share the last moment, reaffirm their love for each other, and Madeline confirms that Matilda is really Bond's daughter. Then, when the missile arrives, he stands up and wipes out the facility and Bond himself. Everyone else understands what happened. Returning to MI6, M, Tanner, Q, Moneypenny and Nomi will meet to toast Bond's memory. Madeline takes Mathilde to Matera and continues her life. Then she decided to tell Matilda about her father, a man named Bond, James Bond. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.